What happened in qualifying for the
Hungarian
Grand Prix? Okay, so shall we start? Shall we dive straight into it?
Yes, Sergio Perez fans, look away now.
Q1, out was Perez, Russell, Zhou, Ocon and Gasly. Now obviously the biggest talking point has to be, categorically, Sergio Perez. Tommy?
I can't believe it.
I couldn't believe it either. It just, I know it was difficult conditions, it was a bit slippery out there, but it can't be Perez that is the one to bin it. Like it happened in Silverstone, happened again here. He's in a rut now that I don't think he can get out of. Christian Horner has said many different things of how he's tried to manage it. He's had him over his house, said what's wrong, how can we help, what can we do? But the problem is, and we've said this before because this isn't the first time Perez has crashed, he is affecting the team, not just with the points that he's collecting, which is very little, but also the money, the cost cap. Formula One teams have to be very careful with how they spend their money, and Perez has destroyed his car once again. And this is now hurting Red Bull. They said a few mistakes before this that it was going to be costing them if there's too many crashes. We are now into that. I think there's going to be, I genuinely believe there's going to be a change in the summer break now. I can't see anything else.
The problem is, right, we're not in the situation anymore where Max can win the Constructors' title on his own. I don't think he can now. He can't. Not because before he was just winning every race. It didn't matter if Perez was crashing or finishing 17th because he'd win every race. Max is not going to win every race this year now. Like, he's not. And he's not
going to win every race, but even if he does, McLaren look like they could easily sort of secure a lot of second and thirds, and a lot of second and thirds are more points than first.
Exactly. And yeah, McLaren are doing an unbelievable job. Like I say, they've scored more points than Red Bull in the last 6 races, and there's still a hell of a lot of races to go. So I don't see how he comes back from this now.
So let's explore what a lot of people have been discussing, which is this Perez's last race at Red Bull? I don't think it's his last race. I think it could well be his penultimate race, genuinely now. This is, being locked out in Q1 is one thing, but we've already spoken about it. This is the worst situation for him to have crashed as well. And I think Horner will lose his patience. But anyway, let's move on from Perez now because we speak about him every week, but he keeps making headlines and sadly, we still have to talk about it. So let's move on to another disaster class, and that was from George Russell and Mercedes. Now, I don't know if we missed something here, Tommy, because of course we were on the move. We might well have missed the intricacies of why George Russell was in the pits, but for me, it seemed like he just went for an early run on the softs. Mercedes thought it was enough. And it wasn't. Perhaps they also thought that there was going to be some weather because the weather was threatening as well. But either or, it's an absolute disaster for Russell to be starting behind Perez, who binned it.
It's always a risk in those conditions. It's easy to go, oh, it's raining, the track's going to get worse. But when it's a light drizzle, we've seen this so many times, the form can change. Sometimes, even just in a bizarre way, if it's a sprinkling of rain, they can still go faster because the track's rubbered in, even if it's like raining a little bit. So like in those situations, from just, I know like these teams want to take risks and save tyres and all this kind of stuff, but the sensible choice for anyone that has watched Formula One for years and years, in those kind of sessions, you just have to keep lapping and lapping and lapping and lapping because the track evolution is changing every single second.
Let's go to Q2 then, shall we? It's Hülkenberg, Bottas, Albon, Sargent and Magnussen out. One of the big talking points was, of course, Hamilton very close to being knocked out, only 0.01 ahead of Hülkenberg, so he scraped through, to say the least. But I'm also going to put some respect on Logan Sargent's name, who I know he didn't have the cleanest of qualifying sessions, knocking his front wing off and having a massive both fronts lock up into turn 1, but a 10th off Albon. That is solid.
I think what could save Logan from a replacement in the summer break, even though his form was quite bad, was the fact that Williams need a driver for next year, and unless they are going for a Formula 2 driver, who's then going to be in the car next year, it would seem odd to like give someone half a year and then basically be like, all right, now we change it again. They'd either want that driver to go early in for next year to learn with Williams, or like there's no point replacing Logan, in my opinion, if they can't get the driver they want in next year, basically.
Okay. Tommy is now Logan Sargent's biggest fan.
I am now James Vowles.
That's it. You are JV. Love to see that. A good performance from Bottas once again. Zhou being knocked out in 18th. I'm sure someone will let us know about what happened in his qualifying. But Bottas had a great performance up in 12th. Has to be said. Like, Sauber are taking steps forward. It's just whether both of their drivers do that each weekend. But yes, I think Sauber can be quite happy with their progress. Williams as well, they'll fight for a point tomorrow potentially.
Yeah.
But yeah, not too much to report with Q2. Let's go to Q3 then, shall we? Of course, yeah, McLaren 1-2. Verstappen third, still thrusting that car into a position perhaps it doesn't deserve to be in. But I did think at one point in Q3, oh my God, he's done a 15.5. It's all over again, Verstappen on pole until Norris put in one of the greatest first sectors I think anyone's ever seen. Let's go with the first question. Jack Mawiney 2. Do you think McLaren will get the strategy correct this time? So that's the important thing here, is that it is all to do with strategy to secure that 1-2. Obviously, they need the win. They need the win. A 1-2 is an optional bonus, but I think it's not too much of an optional at this stage with how many points they've thrown away. Verstappen being in third means that they can be aggressive, especially to get past Piastri, that we know does struggle with tyre wear and longer races. And if it is going to be a hot, nursing your tyres kind of Grand Prix that we expect it to be, Oscar might well struggle a little bit more than Lando. So keeping Max at bay is going to be very difficult. That being said, it shouldn't be too difficult of a race to call from a strategy perspective if we get just the normal.
I think you called it perfectly in the Silverstone one where you said McLaren aren't the underdogs anymore. And because Max is so good, and it is literally the Max Verstappen meme of like feeling like he's always there. You look at that grid and you can see Max winning, even though realistically he shouldn't have a chance. It should be the easiest McLaren 1-2
He's
all
up
day
against
long.
two McLarens. To beat
And
one, fine, but both of them.
And the weird sort of narrative that you always push when you've got two cars, and it's what we use for Perez and going, oh, where's Perez? But in a weird way, Max can just focus on his own race. McLaren could get in a bit of a pickle if Piastri takes him at the start. Lando's, has to be said, has had pretty poor starts recently. He's
and Oscar's
lost places. Oscar's had very good starts. So if Oscar gets ahead of Norris, then they get in an awkward situation where Norris could probably be quicker. We've seen that in the races, normally quicker in the races. But then Piastri will be like, well, I want to win the race.
Yeah.
I've shown that I can deliver. He did at Silverstone. We said it in our drive ratings that he was robbed really of a victory. He could have easily won that race. And then if that situation arrives, who do they pit first? Is Piastri going to be cooking his tyres and blocking Norris? It could, in a weird way, be a disaster that they're together, or it could be the perfect situation where they work together. That's what makes it so exciting.
So yeah, it's going to be fascinating to see how Oscar Piastri plays it, because we know that he is one of the most aggressive men on the first 5 to 10 laps of a GP. He is Ayrton Senna. Like, he is just unbelievable. Then he takes the pain a little bit later. So it is going to be interesting to see how he plays that. He wants that first victory so badly. He'll know if he gets through on Lando around Hungary, he's got a great chance of winning. Next question, Mr. Bear 15. Is the Mercedes W15 awful again? It's not terrible. They messed up with Russell. They should have fueled him up. He would have got into Q3. He's been better than Hamilton in qualifying this year. I don't think it's awful. I think it's just a case of it's not a McLaren. It's not going to turn up every single race and be right at the front.
Yeah, it's not. They're certainly not an awful car. They're still in that Formula A easily. And there will be other tracks that we go to. Spa, for example, is more like your Silverstones. But Hungary couldn't be any more different. And we can't all have the luxury of McLaren that seems to be just absolutely amazing everywhere.
Okay, let's move on now to, we spoke about Perez, didn't we? Now let's talk about your GOAT, Yuki Tsunoda, Tommy. And the question from Annalise Cameron was, did Yuki just miss a massive opportunity to outshine Perez and Daniel? I wouldn't say it was a massive opportunity, because let's also give some respect to Daniel Ricciardo in the sense that both V-carbs were in Q3, which is a great achievement for them. So it wasn't as if Yuki was going to go pop it in P4 and he's going to be this unsung hero. They were both there. So Daniel's done a good job as well. But Yuki's got the headlines for the wrong reasons, because it was a crash that... Are V-carb realistically going to be mixing it in with the top 4 teams? Not really.
No, they basically maximised what they could do, which is why it's so disappointing for Tsunoda, because could have easily just been 9th, ahead of Ricciardo again. Looks great for him. But there's no doubt that whatever you think about Daniel Ricciardo and his form recently, or even the last few years, he is a safe bet really for Red Bull. They know he's been there. He was probably the only person that's been comparable to Max throughout their whole career, maybe. And even if he doesn't, which I don't think he will, be anywhere near Max, it's better than what Perez is doing, being at the wall. And they can now argue that it's better than what Yuki's doing if he's going to have incidents or cause a bit of chaos.
For sure. And then basically there was another run, wasn't there, right at the end, which only swapped Ricciardo and Tsunoda around at the end because they were all on sort of used tyres, and I'm not really sure what they were hoping for there, but maybe
it's
it was
a bit
just
of
in
a
case
weird one.
The track turned alive or something.
This is the problem with the tyre allocation. Sometimes it makes it great for the race, it makes it exciting, but on that situation, it was very much annoying, like, why can't they just stick a set of softs on and we have this amazing shootout? But that is not Formula One, so.
It certainly isn't. Shout out to Sainz as well for out-qualifying Charles Leclerc. I know a lot of people will be like, Leclerc's washed again, but P6, no points are scored on Saturday or Friday. So tomorrow wins the race. What are we saying? Come on. Let's keep the hopes up.
That is very delusional.
Yeah, but Ferrari aren't anywhere near as quick as I was hoping they would be. Sainz obviously did a great job up in P4, but they're nowhere near mixing it with the front, which if they were it was going to happen at any track, I felt like Hungary would have been one of those that they could have delivered because of everything we've said about Monaco.
They don't look to have gone forwards or backwards, really. They're just kind of there. And it's disappointing, for Charles, because we had this whole talk of Carlos Sainz maybe was doing really well, but Charles was doing really well. So, just because Sainz is doing well doesn't mean Charles is doing bad. But Charles kind of the victim of the fact that you think he's going to beat Sainz. So when he doesn't, you kind of be like, where's Charles? Yeah, what's going on? Where's his form gone?
Yeah, fascinating stuff, lots of storylines, and the race is beautifully poised. Once again, I feel like I say that every single weekend when we have qualifying, but it is. And maybe, just maybe, McLaren can start taking some inroads into the lead of Max Verstappen and Red Bull. But let's see. Hopefully we won't be doing another thumbnail for our race podcast of did McLaren bottle it part 2 or part 7 or whatever part we're on.
Should McLaren have won? Every single thumbnail.
It literally feels like it is almost every single one. But anyway, thank you everybody for watching and listening. Thank you to everybody that said hello to us at Formula E as well and come and given us some love. We were on the main stage. That's why we missed part of qualifying, was because we were on stage at the time that it was happening. But a lot of you turned up anyway, which is amazing. So thank you so much for that. Tommy, what are your final thoughts, sir?
Final thoughts are looking forward to being back on Twitch tomorrow, because it's been what feels like a very, very long time since we've done. We didn't do Silverstone, so it feels like a long time since we've done a watch along. So fingers crossed for another Hungary banger, because it does seem to deliver. So fingers crossed.
Yeah, I'm kind of gutted we weren't live on Twitch for Silverstone, but also very happy I was there. I feel like I wish we could have a happy medium where we were live on Twitch just at a corner. That would be amazing. Anyway, thank you so much, everybody. See you soon. Lots of love. Bye.